Welcome back to the Economic Times CMO Tech Strategy Summit 2022, the inaugural summit. And I'm telling you, it's only getting better with every single minute. Now, driving growth towards innovative marketing strategies, I quickly want to thank our partners, presenting partner, InMobi and Microsoft, augmented reality partner, Snapchat, retention partner, platform partner, WebEngage, growth partner, Apps Flyer, knowledge partner, EDH Insights, and media partner, CIO Review India. So yes, what's the hour for and what is up next? Well, hyper personalization equals brand loyalty. And joining us across a conversation, first is our speaker, Achint Setia, Head of Marketing and Social Commerce, Myntra, and to session the chair, we have very interesting Ankur Gattani, VP Growth and Marketing, WebEngage. Ankur, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mithun. Interesting to be a part of this conversation. I think broadly, when I compare the times of 10 to 15 years ago, when there was mainstream advertising being broadcasted to everybody, to the time that is now where each of us have our own devices and brands are trying to communicate with us on a pretty much one-to-one basis. It's great to be having this conversation because I'm sure a lot of people want to figure out the why, the when, and the how of it. Achint, thank you for joining us and would love to understand your broad view on the subject of personalization itself in terms of how critical do you think it is, when should it be the right time to start, and where do you stand on this evolution right now at Myntra?
Sure. Thank you, Ankur, and thank you, ET, for this opportunity. I think it's a very relevant topic to today's times. Especially when consumers, we are moving to a world of one, and it's been a conversation for many years also. It's not a new topic that has emerged. It's just the capability that has become different for companies, both from a technology standpoint and a lot from the people standpoint, in being able to do hyper personalization and being able to really make use of it. So it's like AI, right? Which has been there for 25 years, but suddenly it becomes the talk of the town. The same thing is happening with metaverse. So it's always less about the technology existence, but how does business start thinking about it? And to your question, Ankur, there is no right time, I would say. I think it goes back to the fundamental question to ask, who's your customer? Or in today's world, who are your customers, right? If I take Myntra's example, I think personalization has been a very critical part of Myntra's customer experience on the app and also off the app when we talk to customers. People talk about the fact that they are able to find things that they really look for if you become more and more engaged users. And I think that is the only way I feel in today's times where for a platform which is a fashion and beauty platform and choices are very, very unique at an individual level, you can really be relevant for them. And places where you try to optimize for the universal whole, I think customers actually call it out. And the engagement results also show that. So it's super critical for us. And we have been doing this for last many years. I would still say that there is a long way to go for us to continue improving on this front.
Sure. So would this translate into loyalty in some fashion? Because normally the amount of messaging we're getting from different brands is quite substantial. So it's very noisy out there. Yeah. But here is one brand which is doing a very, very focused, targeted message, which is absolutely relevant to me. And then they grab my attention. Is that something you've seen as a data pattern in the consumer journey, that you get better responses when the messaging is substantially personalized? Or the experience on the app is substantially personalized?
No, absolutely. So just to give you a little bit of a level 2 perspective on this, see, the way we think about our customers is on two axes: the future strategic potential as well as the profitability they bring to us. When I talk about strategic potential, it's a combination of the revenue over the last certain period of time, the maturity of that customer in terms of how often they transact with us, the kind of categories or styles that they buy from us, or the brands they buy from us, because brand affinity, for example, in fashion is a big thing.
Sure.
And even the kind of brand, whether it's a entry brand or a premium or a luxury brand, right? Myntra plays across the spectrum. The engagement the quality of engagement, for example, right? It is not just the number of visits you make, but the time you spend and the kind of things you do in every visit. And then a lot of demographic signals we get in terms of, their kind of devices, the kind of credit cards or debit cards they use, the amount of single value orders that they create, right? So there is a fair bit of signals we get to determine whether the customer has low, medium, or high strategic potential, and therefore has the future capability to spend with us, right? Then the other piece is profitability, because e-commerce in general has a very critical metric on profitability. That's where there is a lot of challenge also. But interestingly, fashion as a category is a profitable category. And there again, you will see all kinds of customers who are, depending on their discount affinities, their returns behavior, the quality of returns, right? Sometimes people use stuff and return, right? So that also gives you a very good signal. The basket size, and higher the basket size, which means number of items in every order, the more you will be able to generate profitability from the customer. Similarly, whether they buy during big events, which are heavy discounted, versus, on a regular day, where the discounts are lesser and therefore the profitability can change. So there are these bunch of factors on profitability. We combine these two and look at multiple cohorts of customers for us, from we call them internally as folks who could be champions, who are high on profitability and high on strategic potential. And then on the other axis, it's laggards, on low on both. And in the middle, I think there are multiple segments. And for us, what's the way we think about loyalty is, it's a combination of how do you ring fence your best customers who have high potential and high profitability. At the same time, how do you nudge a lot of other customers on the edge to get into that zone of being spending more with you or having better profitability equation with you. And that's how I look at personalization from a loyalty standpoint. But even when you get a set of loyalists in a program like a Myntra Insider, I think it's a journey for the customer. So you would have customers at one spectrum, and we have a 3-tiered program, which starts at the bottommost tier, where people are just starting to show the signs of being very profitable, to at the top, where we call them as icons, where they have already demonstrated it. And then it is a lot about how do you delight them and give them the best in class experience. And the folks who are at the bottom tiers, how do you also keep giving them the hooks and the nudges that they find what they want to find on the platform, and they give them an addiction of rewards as they move up in the journey, right? So the way we structure our reward store, the way we structure some of the incentives to move up the tiers, whether it is accelerated coins that you get as you move up, or certain privilege experiences that you get only when you move up, or the fact that there are certain brands which are exclusively at certain tiers who offer value proposition or experiences, that makes the difference from a customer standpoint on what is in offer. And that's the way we use personalization to continuously nudge the customers upwards in the journey.
Very fascinating, Achint. So this is clearly a very mature setup, and I would love to understand how the journey, what you kind of started off with first, and how it evolved, because a lot of younger brands would probably want to get here, but like you said earlier as well, it's a journey which will still go on. So if you could just run us through the first building blocks that people could consider putting in together, because I would imagine it just makes sense to start early, especially since you spoke about all these different data points and signals. You have to start collecting them to begin with. You have to start processing them. You have to start making sense out of them, and then you have to start applying them and things for the user, right? If you have all of this information, what changes in the user experience? So that's where it'd be interesting to understand, what your journey was like across each of these steps.
Yeah, I think a lot of it started even before my time at Myntra, but I can tell you from a loyalty side, how this journey has evolved for us. I think it all starts with some first principles understanding of these are the few things that the customer would like, and having a quick check with the customers, whether it through a research or a quick dipstick, to see if these are the top of mind things and a clear payoff coming from a customer standpoint. I think then it is also about at the first read of a cohort of customers, and you could use data sciences, you could use random forest algorithms or other clustering algorithms with data to figure it out. But it could also be a simpler way, assuming you don't have data, as much data yet in your system, just basic research and talking to customers can very clearly give you insights on what is the motivation, and the motivations can be different for different cohorts. So we started this exercise by creating some very basic personas of customers, ones who are very frequent with us and at a fundamental level demand a lot more, right? So it is about I buy so much from you, then I should be entitled to a few things, right? So at a very high conceptual level, right? There is no data here coming in yet. And then there are customers who have started to like you, right? And they have crossed the fourth or the fifth transaction. And basis some basic data, you could figure out that after what transaction the customer makes with you, they become a better low churn customer, right? Which means retention levels go up significantly. And it always happens at a certain threshold for every platform, depending on the maturity of the customer and the platform. So for us, there was a number after which the customers' retention rates grew like this.
Right. Sure. Now they love you.
And that's where you said, okay, this is the starting point when customers starts to feel that they have a platform to go to, right? The go-to platform when it comes to the category of fashion or beauty. So we looked at this cohort, and then within this cohort, there was that extreme that I spoke about. And then there was a middling layer where customers hadn't become the best, but they had shown signs of that by coming and buying a lot in certain occasions, and then being idle for certain occasions. But they have showcased with the kinds of brands they have bought. Again, not a lot of data, but very simple things on, let's say you made a purchase of 30,000 rupees, right? Only that information is good enough for you to understand that customer has the share of wallet, right? And if you do it consistently, then it gives you a lot more confidence that yes, there is the need state and we need to find a way to serve it. Or let's say the customer has come in and bought, a Rolex watch with you, that there is a very clear indication of affordability. So this is the first level without doing too much of analysis paralysis, where we figured out, okay, we have these three cohorts. So then let's start building. And then comes the real learning, right? Where you do a lot of test and learn, a lot of A/B tests. Sometimes early stage platforms may also not have an A/B test capability, right? And that also takes time to build, right? From a tech stack standpoint. So if you don't have that, my recommendation would be just put a bunch of things in front of customers and see how they react, and maybe do regular conversations with customers. That's the best way I figured out, taking your own personal biases as platform people and professionals. So that's how it evolved. And over a period of time, customers give you a lot of feedback, and the best feedback comes when they utilize your services or offers, right? So a lot of the rewards that were put, I would say 50% of them were pruned after the first 1 year itself, because we thought they were great rewards. Everybody was offering them. Let's also offer them. Our customers didn't care. They said, I will get it from somewhere else. You are a fashion platform. What will you give uniquely? Tell me that. I don't have time to go through the same thing on 5 platforms, right? So that was a big then eureka for us as to how do we create fashion specific experiences for our customers. And we launched things like styling masterclasses for our customers. We launched things like samples with certain purchases. We launched things like, certain brand experiences for our customers, right? Those are the learnings that emerged as we move forward. That's how I thought our personalization journey grew there.
Yep. So very clearly, there is a base starting point, but then there is a lot of experimentation and A/B testing and figuring things out as you go along. And probably this will start to break, the 3 cohorts that you started off into now probably several dozen unique user segments who have their own needs and their own expectations. Achint, I think, we have the last few minutes. Would love to understand the org structure, the team that is now working on all of this. What is the combination of skill sets? What are the kind of, let's say, tiers and organization structures that you have in place to make this happen at your scale? And how did that evolve?
Yeah, sure. No, it's a very good question, Ankur. I think retrospectively, you can answer this much better.
Of course.
But I would say how it exists today, I can share, right? So there is, of course, a focused effort within the engineering and the product management side on personalization. And that's very critical, because someone needs to daily think about how do I make capture that one extra intent, and how do I utilize it to make the quality of my recommendations and my understanding of the customers better, right? So there's
Sure.
that. Then there are business teams on the platform side whose job is to be able to interpret a lot of these signals and then curate experiences for customers. So while you will get a lot of these widgets, which are basis your past behaviors that you can see on the platform, but there also is a judgment on top of it. You can't just become only blinded to tech beyond the point. So if a lot of time customers don't know what they want, right? And that's a very important thing to think about, where the business side has to continuously challenge and expose the customers to a breadth of things, and then let the data science and the algorithms take care of what they would like. So the third team therefore is a data sciences team, whose job is to continuously build and refine these models, because it's all anyways machine learning led, and it learns over a period of time. And I think the consumer research team, the fourth key pillar of this, as I said, right, again, plays a very critical role in constantly challenging the business side also, because sometimes when you see early success, it becomes very easy for the business teams to think this is the way it works, right? And we have found the eureka moment. And then, someone has to come and tell you guys, the world has moved on, right? People have, the Gen Z customers actually have a very different preference. And that changes in 3 or 4 years, right? And you are still 4 years in your understanding, 4 years old, I would say, right? So that appreciation and awareness is important. So these 4-5 elements, I think, bring together.
So there's technology, there is data science, there's a business, and there's a consumer research. I think I could lean these four. And the consumer research ends up being the one which is very closely in direct touch with the customers to get that soft and direct primary set of inputs. But then that influences business because the data-driven inputs might have its own set of biases or vintage, right?
Absolutely.
Very interesting. So I think given that we're at the end of our slot, this was incredibly useful. What we'd love to be able to do at WebEngage is to translate all of these massive platform level, functionalities and elements to be useful for smaller brands. That's what we would love to do. And I'd love to catch you sometime to understand some of these pieces better. But thank you so much. Great having this conversation. Thanks, Nitin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ankur. And thank you, Achint. I think it was very interesting how you spoke about Myntra and what Myntra has been doing in terms of personalization with the brand altogether. Thank you again, Ankur, for bringing out the best conversation. Well, we got much more on the other side. And the other one is what you will love the most. Augmented reality, the new business reality up next. Get ready for that.